Hey guys, wanted to do another video on LinkedIn to help you maximize your effectiveness and create more positive ripples for yourself and potentially the people you connect with on LinkedIn. If you watched the previous video, I talked to you about the settings, the privacy settings to allow you to control who can see the connections that you have. I highly recommend you go back and look at that video and consider turning that off because it opens you up for exposure to all of the connections that you have when you invite somebody new into your network, whether you accept somebody's LinkedIn invitation to you or you send it to them. You don't necessarily want them being able to see through all of your connections, unless you do. I have a tendency, and if you go back to that video, to say it's not a good idea, and I explain why, because of something that happened to me that dramatically compromised, a really important connection to myself. But, obviously do your own, whatever works for you, right? Today I wanted to show you really something that I think happens a lot, which is an overabundance of incoming LinkedIn connections and some of the mistakes that are made. Now, just a preview here, I'm going to showcase some folks that have sent me LinkedIn invitations. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm using them as an example. They put themselves out there by sending me this information. So I feel like it's fair game to use my real data, right? Real information to showcase some of the things that I think that you might want to consider before you send out a LinkedIn invitation or you accept one. So I'm going to go to demo mode here really quick, and I'm going to shift over here. So I'm going to go here to my network and I'm going to show you a couple of things, right? So here's our Brian Kelly. If you saw the other video, I kind of picked on him a little bit, but I got an invitation from him, and I've had 57 just in the last week or two that have come in. And I don't get to these all that quickly. I don't necessarily prioritize them. I probably should, but I don't know if you're finding that LinkedIn is becoming kind of like Facebook for business for a lot of folks. It's like the more connections people can make, the better. And you'll get things like this where actually the invitation got sent to me to connect. I can ignore it or accept it, obviously, but there's no reason for why he wants to connect with me. There's no valid understanding. So people ask me, what do I do in this case? Well, I will look at who that individual is. I think this is a little gamey, right? Brian with a little icon here and whatever you call that thing. Looks like a director, cut kind of deal. Obviously he's in show business of some sort, and he's the host of the Mind Body Business Show, which is kind of ironic because if you follow me, I have a podcast called Conversations with Asha and Steve. Dr. Asha Prasad and myself actually have a coaching program called the Mind Body Business. Maybe he's trolling me. I don't know, right? Because he didn't put any reason why he wanted to connect with me. But what I generally will do here is I will look at their description, right? The headline. And we'll talk about this on another video as well. But, what does this person do? It's like your slug, right? Your 30-second elevator pitch, if you will, about what you do and what you want people to know about you. For him, it's entrepreneurs hire me to stand out in the marketplace and attract a steady stream of ideal clients because most are sitting on a massive exposure machine and don't even know it. Okay, well, that's awesome. Kind of have an understanding of what he does here. So, he's got this, highlight that he's got. So he obviously wants whoever ends up on his profile to click here. And that actually becomes kind of a pitch for you to join his masterclass. It's a free value-packed 60-minute advanced live video masterclass that you can sign up for that's happening at a predetermined future time. That actually is just going to put you on his email list, obviously. If I look through some of the other components here, I might look at details on his upcoming show. This, again, when I come here, it's not actually a show. This is actually putting me into a sales funnel, right? So I don't really want that information necessarily. I don't want to have to sign up in order to get access to his content. So I'm going to bounce out of that. Fortunately, it opened in a new tab, so it didn't just lock up my browser. I'll look at some of the other components, some of the experience that an individual has. Trying to just, again, because this guy gave me no indication of why he wants to connect with me, trying to see what might have, precipitated the invitation, right? And right now, basically, I would view this as this guy's just trying to get me into his list, into his sales funnel. So not a super valuable connection for me, right? Let's look at this guy. So I'm going to pick on him for just a second because he knows that I'm actually in the construction software space, right? So I have a construction project management software called Owner Insight. So I think he initially kind of hoped to get my attention by saying, hey, I'd like to connect with you to explore the opportunity for us to work together. So this was kind of interesting because, he is in my field and he is in an area that is of interest to me. So I went ahead and clicked on his profile. I started looking at it and I kind of see, hey, this is, he's kind of a potentially good connection for me. He does some things that, sort of is of interest to me in the construction space. That's kind of what he's doing. But then, up here, kind of an inconsistency, right? He's like in the IT support and he's doing some stuff with programming and social media marketing. And anyway, I was at least intrigued enough to say, and this is something I do often, if I don't know why I'm going to connect with somebody or why they might have reached out to me, I will respond back to that person and say, hey, tell me a little bit about what you had in mind. And so in this instance, this basically is what I did is I said, hey, thanks for reaching out, Michael. I apologize for the delayed response. What did you have in mind? And then he sent me this very spammy direct message. It was kind of an automated message that came back talking to me about blockchain and things that have absolutely zero interest to me. And so I basically would know that this would probably not be a good connection for me. Again, I think that there's a disconnect here and can't really put it on him necessarily because I didn't know what his intent was, what he considered an opportunity to work together, what he looked at. I'm a versatile entrepreneur, so he may have been looking at different capacities of ways that we could work together. But, his headline tells me that he's a construction and remodeling guy. And so it was a little misleading to click on that and then come back to, boom, his first experience that he leads with is the CSES International. And then if I click that company, it doesn't really tell me anything. It's one employee, which is probably him. And then the website is Google. So this seems very, very spammy, right? So not a good connection. And I get dozens of these, right? Week or, every couple of weeks. And many of them are like this. Don't have any specifics as to why they want to connect with me, or if they do, hey, I hope this message reaches you well. I enjoyed connecting with professionals like yourself. I look forward to reading great content from you. Fantastic. My content is out there. It's visible for everybody. I don't need to necessarily connect with this person. But what was funny was this individual actually then started finding my emails for all of my companies and started sending me separate messages saying, hey, I've sent you a LinkedIn invitation. I'm looking forward to connecting. Again, no meat on the bone, if you will, as to why we should connect. And so it really kind of raises my spidey senses. And, you just get these. And the biggest mistakes I see people making is you're not adding any value or any real desire or creating any desire for the person that you're sending it to want to connect. And that's what happens. This is the equivalent of picking people out of the phone book and calling them and going, hey, will you be my friend? Or do you want to do business with me, etc. This does not work, right? I don't think that this has any serious value whatsoever when you send these things like that. That really, come to someone that's super busy and super, focused on their business. It's a huge distraction. And even when you get somebody like, Jackie here, which, I'm sure she's a lovely person, but I'm looking to grow my network here on LinkedIn, would love to be a part of yours. I bet you would. The reality is I have spent and invested a whole lot of time in building a really kick-ass network. And unfortunately, Jackie, I don't know you. And I know that my network would greatly benefit you. If I look at your connections, however, I don't know. She's got 500 plus connections, but I don't see who they are. I don't really know or understand what she does per se. Rock Financial, looking at that experience, looks like everything is kind of in the business finance kind of space, not something I really am of interest in, right? I have any interest in whatsoever. And so this really isn't a good connection for me. And so I guess the whole purpose of explaining these things in the detail that I have, not to throw these people under the bus, but to say, if you're going to send out a LinkedIn invitation, make sure that you have some meat on the bone as to why that other person is going to want to, first, one, take notice, two, is going to want to actually engage with you and find some avenue to actually make that a win-win. This is something I see that we have in common. I think there's some value for us to explore. If you don't feel comfortable having, linking in or accepting my invitation, perhaps we could connect and have a phone call conversation, get to know each other offline before we connect online. That's an opportunity for you to make a huge difference. It'll definitely make you stand out and certainly get that other person's attention. Of course, not everybody is going to respond in kind. Not everybody is going to, just say, hey, absolutely, I'm available right now. Let's have a call. And it doesn't work that way. But at the end of the day, what I find is that just shooting these invitations out to the masses without either any really substance as to why to connect and or just flat out not even putting a reason, but you're just trying to connect. I have done it. I'm guilty as charged, I will tell you. But at the end of the day, I'm a big believer that anybody that you are going to accept into your network or that you're going to pursue to join your network, they have to be people that you really are committed to developing some level of relationship with. That means you're putting time, energy, and attention into growing that relationship. Otherwise, it just becomes a name with a face on a social network like LinkedIn that doesn't do you much good. And it takes up space for people that probably belong in your network. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know if it'll be beneficial to you, but I'd like you to think about how easily you accept invitations from strangers and whether it makes sense to you to continue to do so, right? And if you're one that sends these out, maybe you'll rethink the process before you send out the next invitation to actually give that other person who's going to receive that LinkedIn invitation some justification as to why they want to know you, why there's value in you two connecting. Because anything else, just a waste of time. Until next time, my friends, ripple on.